Welcome to Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Your day weather podcast being brought to you by ConverseCountyTourism.com. Feel the energy of Converse County. Explore Douglas's Railroad Heritage, Ayers Natural Bridge, and the Jackalope Legend. Glen Rock boasts scenic trails, dinosaur history, and small town charm. Plan your visit at ConverseCountyTourism.com. Well, it is going to be a lot more like winter than spring, as the title shows there. Really, between now and Sunday, it's going to be downright cold. Remember a week ago when it was so warm? I think everyone's forgotten about that. Wintry weather is going to be found throughout a lot of the western United States. We still have this disorganized low-pressure system overhead. Basically, it's going to hang around up through Saturday. It's not until Sunday before things begin to break a little bit. So it is going to be very chilly, well below average temperatures over all of the West. Rain and snow showers here and there. Snow in the high country since the storm is staying disorganized. It is not going to coalesce and become one big western storm system. It's going to end up producing a lot of heavy precipitation in the central U.S., as we'll show you here in a moment. But due to its disorganization, not being able to get its act together, we'll have more scenes like this, but nothing that's going to be terribly heavy in one particular area that you'll sometimes get with spring storms. By late in the weekend, the pattern begins to shift. Now, for those of you not liking this winter weather, well, we're going to see kind of a pattern change that goes back to where we were a week ago. We're going to see this, I think, this back and forth pattern. We're going to have a nice area of high pressure build in next week. So we will go back to spring again next week. But in the meantime, we're going to have episodes like this here out of eastern Idaho. Snowflakes showing up there in the night light across the region. And when we show you the photos, boy, it just looks like we're still in the throes of winter and we're just in early spring. This is a normal transition when we have this back and forth. And you can see these low-hanging dark clouds, these showers, these disorganized showers, these patches of rain and snow that have developed all across the Intermountain West and the western high plains. And some of you have gotten under the heavier snow showers like this shot in Douglas on April Fool's Day yesterday. Then a lot of fresh snow in the high Wind River Mountains. We'll take a look briefly at the snowpack. Snowpack, that's one area the Wind River Mountains doing very well with snowpack as we go to the tail end of the snowpack season. The Wind River Mountains displaying a lot of clouds and a lot of really cool features to look at here over the past few days. So as we go ahead and go forward into the rest of the week and into the weekend, scenes like this really remind you of kind of the seasons changing. There's a lot of elk coming down out of Rocky Mountain National Park. I don't know if they're anticipating maybe this cold weather and wanting to come down and get a little bit lower. Maybe take advantage of the greener grass after this area of northern Colorado, the Front Range, picking up some very good rain and some moisture this past weekend. So the elk are finding out that, hey, it's greening up down there a little bit. A look at the snowpack as of midnight last night. Wherever you see green or blue, just look at those colors. Green and blue means snowpack is going to be either above average, well above average in the blue. If it's green, it's either a little bit above, right at, or maybe a few percentage points below. But essentially, green good, blue good. Where you start to see the other colors, especially the red, snowpack conditions are well below average. Now, one thing to point out, this time of year, you got to be really, really careful with the snowpack numbers. Why? Because when you get a normal warmer spring, remember that the snowpack sensors are a collection of sensors at multiple different elevations. So the lower elevation snowpack totals start to get lower because of melting. So that will skew the overall basin total a little bit because the bigger reservoirs of snow up higher in the mountain. Let me give you an example. Let's say a very high level snowpack in the high Wind River Mountains might be 120% of average. Great. But a lower elevation snowpack sensor might only be at 60% of average for April 1st, but we've also had quite a bit of melting since last week. That skews the averages a little bit. So where you see green and blue, snowpack is good. Now, some of these yellow areas, you're looking at snowpack below or around the 80% range. That means that, you're below average snowpack, but you probably see those numbers drop a little bit because of some of the lower elevation numbers. And you'll see that here, like in the Powder River and some of the snowpack basins in southern Colorado due to snowmelt. So you have to be very careful with snowpack conditions as we get into the spring season. The surface map this morning showing you where the fronts are and the anticipated weather that's going to be happening today. We'll talk about this area here in a minute, but that's going to be a rocking and rolling part of the U.S. over the next 24 hours. And you can see the low pressure across the western United States. And the satellite imagery shows an enhanced area of clouds here, showers and thunderstorms developing in what's going to be a severe weather outbreak later today. And our satellite photo looks just like it's been. We have patches of moisture, pockets of precipitation, and unsettled weather swirling around low pressure, but not very well organized. Nonetheless, there's going to be a lot of weather across the nation today, the lower 48. You can see the purple, the pink for winter storm and winter weather advisory conditions. And then we can see the green for heavy rain, but snow getting pretty far south into Great Lakes and New England, very wintry up there as well. And when you look at the 500 millibar pattern, it looks like winter. We've got a high pressure ridge in the Gulf of Alaska carving out this big trough in the west, and a big contrast between air masses in the west, cold, and the east. As you can see here, the colors of the temperature anomaly for today really showing the warmth bubbling up here. And look at all the cold in the west, cold across the north. And as you can imagine, this battleground area, as the cold begins to push east, is where it's going to really get going later today. We have a very, very high risk of severe weather. So not a lot of times do you see this many multiple shadings, but when you get into the enhanced, moderate, and very high risk, very severe weather, tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, covering a large part of the nation. So if you're going to be traveling today, anywhere out east, you're going to be crossing through, flying through, traveling through a lot of severe weather. Out west, it's just going to be cold. The trough of low pressure settles in. This is for tomorrow. So we've got it through the area today. We've got it in the area tomorrow. So for the next 24 hours, this is for today through evening, you can see where the rain and the snow is going to be. Again, the heavier moisture is going to be further east. Spotty, patchy areas of rain and snow elsewhere in the west, and you're going to get pockets of snow here and there, heavier up there in the Dakotas, up there into Minnesota is where the snow will be more widespread. By noon Friday, we get this elongation of the trough, and what's going to happen is it's going to stay elongated, and it's not going to break off and be a cutoff low. That is going to allow the concentration of the moisture to be focused right here. It looked like that maybe this would get cut off and then that moisture would be drawn westward. Unfortunately, which that we really would have liked to see that to keep the precipitation going. But since it's not going to cut off, this broad area of low pressure is going to kind of stay together and head east. And boy, we just have a strong flow around the pressure systems, the clockwise around the high, the counterclockwise around the low. Going to focus very, very moist air into this part of the country right here. So not only are we going to have severe weather, but we're going to have flooding in parts of the central United States. Now, this is round 2. This is the precipitation for basically Thursday and Friday. So for Thursday and Friday, we will get rain and snow again developing in many of the same areas. Could have a little heavier patch of rain and snow here in Nebraska and northwest Kansas, and into the mountains and into the plains. Nothing to write home about, but more moisture will be found in those areas. Snowfall as well. Now that takes us through Friday. As we get into noon Saturday, we still have this elongated trough, but we do have a little bit more energy down here in New Mexico, and this is going to bring parts of the southern plains and southern Rockies some needed precipitation, and here it is. So it doesn't look like as much as we showed earlier in the week, but New Mexico, southern Colorado, the panhandles here, you're going to get rain, snow, and some thunderstorm activity and those areas could really use it. So that'll be good there. So that basically is the precipitation as we get into Saturday and as we get into Sunday. If we take a look at the U.S., over the next 5 days, total precipitation looks like this. This is what we were talking about. We're going to have areas that are going to get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 inches of rain from Arkansas through portions of western Tennessee, Kentucky. Parts of the southern and southeast Corn Belt will be getting very, very wet, while it's going to be wintry up here. So a lot going on across the country as we go through the rest of the work week and into Saturday. And here's the cold. Temperatures between now and Sunday. This is the 5-day average of temperatures compared to the 30-year average. Very, very chilly. Keep the jackets handy. It's really going to feel like winter in many areas, especially the next 3 to 4 days. Don't fret. Don't get depressed. Why? Well, once we get into next week, while there will be little disturbances coming off the Pacific that may occasionally produce showers, overall, next week's going to be dominated by a broad ridge of high pressure again. So what's going to happen is we're going to go to where we were a week ago, which is we're going to have a spell of warmer spring weather again. The weekend, as we get into the weekend of the 12th, 13th, as we get into that time frame, we are going to likely see precipitation chances and cooler weather return to the west again. But a lot of next week is looking very nice. Have yourself a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.